Hi, welcome to another edition of Spotlight On. Well, this week we have highlights from the Danbury Westerners who have just been starting their season within the last month. We also have on the show some interviews with our coaches. We also have some highlights from the first exhibition game that we had here in Danbury a few weeks ago. So that will be, that's what our show's going to be about this week. We had we've had a lot of new kids this year. They're from all over. And they have been doing like I said, this is summer baseball, so please come out to the games. We like to see people out. We like to see people come. We like to see fans in the stands is what we like to see. We need to see more and more every day because it takes a lot to make the season go. It takes a lot to keep for the buses, to keep the uniforms, everything going. So it takes an awful lot. We play 42 games in 60 days, which is a lot of baseball. And and before you know it, summer's gone, the kids are back in school. It'll fly by. So please come out to the games. You can go to either www.westerners.com for the schedule, or you can go to the necbl.com, which will give you times and schedules for all the games and for all the teams in the NECBL. You can also look up a lot of information on past players who have played for the Danbury Westerners who have gone on to major league careers. It's just, you never know where you're going to start. You never know where you're going to end up. You can end up with the Mets, the Yankees, the Red Sox, any of the teams, But, just keep an eye on what's going on, You can get in touch with me if you'd like to be a guest on our show, or if you have any comments or anything, or any upcoming events. You can get a hold of me at rbraw@snetnet or rbraw@gmail.com. You can also look me up at MySpace/SpotlightOn1966. You can also look me up at Facebook. You can call us here at 203-748-5456 or 203-417-7929. As always, I hope everybody's having a good summer. The weather has been, we've had a lot of rain, but like I said, we're trying to get games in, as much as we can. and of course, if we do have a rain out, we will be making up the games later on in the year, especially with double headers. And we probably will end up with a lot of them as well. But, that's, you can't fight Mother Nature, unfortunately. So, I do need to say one thing I'd like to say. I appreciate everybody who helps out with this show. Joe Pisanelli, Candy Roswell, Dave King. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be on talking to you people right now. But that's a lot of help. Plus all our sponsors. Uncle Al's and the Danbury Westerners. Connecticut Cruise News, and there's just so many others, to mention. The list is so long. But anyway, we're going to get into the show, and we will see you again next week. And I just don't know what will be on next week, because we were always around somewhere doing something, so stay tuned. But like I always say, bye.
Go ahead.
I'm Jamie Shepchick, manager of the Danbury Westerners. I'm here with Corey Muscara, first time coach with us this year. I want to ask him a few questions. Corey, I would just want your general idea, your general purpose, your intake on this year's season so far.
Well, I think we have a much more committed team than last year. We got a great pitching staff. We have a lot of potential. Right now we're 5-6. We lost a couple one-run games, and I think we have a lot of ability to compete with anyone in this league, and should be an exciting year for us.
Based on what you've seen so far in the league this year, and I know you were a player here last year, where do you see this year's team competing as far as where do you see us finishing as far as a playoff race, or how far can this team actually go?
Well, I think there's no telling how high this team can go. I mean, we have the pitching to do it, and we have a couple guys down with injuries and not with us in our lineup right now. When that gets all shaken out, I mean, we're as good as anyone in this league. So if we can just, if we can cut down the errors and keep pitching like we are and, hit, we'll be fine. I think we can be right there at the end and compete for a championship.
The future manager of the Danbury Westerners, Corey Muscara. Thank you.
So, Jamie, I got to ask you. How do you think of this team so far this year?
Corey's pretty much right on. This year's team is a very talented team. Still early in the season, still waiting to put a few things together. Once we get into a pretty good groove here and we can kind of find the right combination of players and who's going to produce every day, the team could be almost unbeatable. This team's going to win a lot of baseball games, definitely going to make a playoff run, and I feel, just like Corey said, that this team could win a CSBL championship.
What do you think as far, compared to last year, this group is much better?
Absolutely. Last year's team was maybe not as talented, but I give them a lot of credit because they fought, every day. Towards the end of the year, when we were pretty much out of the playoff race, they continued to play out the season and play it, all 9 innings and play it hard. I think a challenge this year is to make sure that keeping these guys, motivated enough to see the light at the end of the tunnel, that we are a good team, and to keep fighting every day and hopefully get into the playoffs where we don't have to scratch and crawl, toward the last week or so into the season. I'd much rather get in there and kind of sit back and relax and let the rest of the teams play it out.
Well, this year's team, you had a little more of design than you had last year's, right? As far as drafting and.
Yeah, we did a lot of work right at the tail end of last year to try to put a list together of a group of guys that we wanted to get. We lost a lot of guys. We lost a guy to the Major League Draft. We lost a few guys to injury. But there's probably a dozen or so of players here that Corey and I had a pretty good hand of getting him in here and getting him on the team. Hopefully next year we're going to start again. Towards the end of July, beginning of August, start preparing again for next year. But yeah, this year's team has been put together by a few different people. But it's nice to have a few of our own guys in here. We have a little bit more ownership in this year's team than we did last year.
I see you got the clinic going for everybody today. How's everything going?
It's good to, well, we had a rough, we got back about 1 o'clock in the morning last night after a 1-0 loss, so these guys are probably a little cranky in the morning. They're all looking to, and with a 2 o'clock or 2:30 game coming up today. But it's good, too, for these guys to get out and get involved in the community. You know, the Westerners pride themselves on giving back to the community, and this is a good reason why, and this is a good example why.
How many players you got returning this year?
I believe 4 players returning. Teddy Hervel from University of Connecticut, Melvin Castillo from Eastern Connecticut, Shane Kingsley from Eastern Connecticut,
and Vinny Gans.
And Vinny Gans from William Patterson. They're the 4 guys that returned from last year's team.
The home run king so far?
We've hit a lot of home runs at this park. Kevin Rivers from Franklin and Pierce, I believe, is our leader right now, with
tied with Amendola.
Tied with Mike Amendola from the University of Hartford with 3.
2.
Kevin doesn't have 3. It's 2 or 3. Majority of the home runs have come at this park. We definitely play into our own park. You know, on the road it's a little bit different. The fences are a little bit further, but we definitely enjoy playing home.
You have Sean Fester's back again this year, right?
Absolutely. There you go. Sean's obviously, a lot of our pitchers enjoy working with Sean. Some of our players even come to this team just to get the opportunity to work with them, and he does a great job with our pitching staff. Our pitching has been, you know, for the most part, the key to our success so far this year. We've lost a few tight games where our pitchers have kept us in it and thrown us through great games.
What do you think of the crew? Our crew.
Great group of guys. Anytime I have the opportunity to give these guys props, I always do. To have a group of volunteers who are not getting paid to come out and do everything that they do day in and day out. These guys are the first ones at the ballpark and the last ones to leave. To have an all-volunteer staff is amazing.
All right, guys, one more throw.
You're not going to get that kind of volunteer support at most of the organizations in this league. And if we didn't have them, it'd probably be a little bit of a circus around here. But we're very, very grateful.
What's your biggest competitor this year?
Our biggest competitor, it's tough to say early on. We've beat, you know, every team in our division so far. We've only played Holyoke once and we lost. So it's going to be tough to say. I'm guessing it's going to be maybe Keene or Vermont, you know, from what I can gauge through the first 11 games. But it's going to depend on, you know, how it works itself out in the end of July.
That's it.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay.
What do you want to eat? Come out and see the Westerners play. Support your local team.
Sure. Like Coach Shevchik said, we have a lot of volunteer support, and we really appreciate that. But if we can get you guys in the town to come out and watch some games, it would really help the organization, and I know the players would really enjoy it. And it's good because you'll see a high level of baseball, and it's inexpensive, it's great for the family, and we'd love to see you out there. So come support the Westerners, and hopefully we'll see you at the games.
Corey, what's your where'd you play? Where'd you go to school?
I went to Franklin Pierce University in Rindge, it's Division II school in Rindge, New Hampshire. Initially I went to Siena College, which is Division I school in New York, and I transferred there. I loved it there. It's great baseball. A lot of players from our team are in the league. This year we have Kevin Rivers and Sean Keeler from Franklin Pierce that are on the Danbury Westerners, and it's a high-level baseball. So,
where's most of the guys from?
We have guys from all over. I mean, we got some guys from Tulane this year. We got a guy from Mississippi State, some kids from Pittsburgh, University of Connecticut, Winthrop. I mean, all over really. James Madison, Central Connecticut. We have a lot of Connecticut kids here that are playing colleges throughout the country, but we also have some Southern guys, a couple kids from Georgia. We have a kid from Mercer, a kid from Georgia College and State. So kids from all over, really.
The NECBL, now you have to be, what, between your freshman and your junior year?
You have to have a year of eligibility left to play in the league. So basically, freshman, junior year. You could also be a senior but have another year of eligibility in grad school. As long as you have one remaining year of eligibility, you can play in the league.
And most of them guys are from between 18 and 22.
Yeah, I mean, it varies. I played in the league last year. I was 23. You can get that if you have a guy redshirted a year. But yeah, I'd say for the most part, guys are in the 18 to 22 range.
This team, like Coach says, this team is much better than you would say though than last year's.
Oh, without question. I mean, this team is definitely a team that can compete with anyone in this league. There's no one in this league that really, I think, is head and shoulders above us. So at the end of the game, we're going to be right there at the end. So,
what's the outcome for? What do you think we will finish as far as by the end of the season?
I mean, if things go the way we hope, and if everyone stays healthy, and we play the game the right way like we are capable of, there's no telling how well we could do. I mean, a championship is not out of the realm of possibilities.
What's the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge in this league, besides keeping everyone healthy, because it's a pretty grueling schedule, you play six games a week, 7 games a week sometimes. I'd say the biggest challenge besides keeping everyone healthy is making sure everyone stays motivated throughout the year, because it's a long season with college. You play 56 games in college, and then you come right into here and you play another 45 games. So you're playing pretty much every day, and these are young guys, they're not getting paid, they're playing because they love the game. And sometimes, they're 1,000 miles from home, 2,000 miles from home. We got a kid from San Francisco this year, and you can get homesick, you can get tired, you can lose your motivation. So I'd say that's probably the biggest challenge.
Now, most of the kids have host families?
Yeah, unless they're from Connecticut and they're staying at home, everyone has a host family. We have some great host family situations. I'm actually staying with the host family. I'm staying with the Switzers in Bethel, Connecticut. They've been really gracious. They've hosted me the past 2 summers. This year they got 3 guys, and last summer they had 3 guys. They do a great job, and they do it out of the kindness of their heart. They're great people. They feed us great. Everything about it, it's a wonderful situation. So, I mean, this league really wouldn't be able to be run without the host families, because, we get the top quality players in from around the country because of the host families. So, it's really a wonderful thing, and I'm very gracious to the Switzers and all the other host families that are out there.
What's coming up this week?
This week, as far as games, we have, I know we have Wednesday and Thursday off, but today we got a game with Lowell. They're in the other division. And we also have a game tomorrow with, I think we play Keene again. I'm not sure. The schedule escapes me off the top of my head. But, we have 5 games coming up this week, and it's going to be an important week for us to see if we can make ground in the standings. Right now, I think we're a game and a half out of first. Like I said, we put things together and get in a groove, we'll be right there on top.
Okay, thanks, Corey.
All right, thank you.
First began was 2 words. It really began as rounders in England, and it was transplanted over here and turned into two very different kinds of baseball. One that you'd recognize today, one that would be a little different than today's ball, and that was called town ball. And town ball was played on a diamond-shaped field with 10 or more players per side, and they would use a ball that's similar to this. Sometimes it was smaller, it was fairly soft, and they'd use a bat like this. This is an actual town ball bat from the 1850s. It was probably once upon a time an axe handle, but today it's an old town ball bat. All right, what you're looking at right here. What you're looking at right here is a mushroom-handled reproduction of an 1880s, 1890s bat. Why do they call it a mushroom bat? Well, because the handle looks somewhat like a mushroom, or a mushroom cap. And it was a balanced weight for the batter. It also gave the batter great bat control,
Right.
because he could use this handle to shift the weight of the bat. And back in those days, they didn't hit the way, they didn't stand in the batter's box the way they do nowadays. They stood more facing the pitcher. So he would look at the pitcher, you being the pitcher. He'd look like this, and he'd probably hold the bat like this or like this. And he'd shift it around, and when the ball was pitched, then he'd step back, go whatever direction he wanted to go with the ball, because he was always trying to place the ball. He knew he couldn't hit the ball over the fence. In 1886, mpeg4 was the home run champion.
What was his home run? How many home runs did he hit in the season?
He was the home run champion for a few years, and in 1886 he got a grand total of 8 home runs.
That was for the year?
For the whole year.
That doesn't sound like much of a...
Well, but you know, it's like the game we play.
Right.
Guys don't hit home runs; they just run a lot.
Right.
And it's more exciting for the fans, really. I mean, people like to see home runs once in a while.
Yeah.
But when you see 10 a game or 5 a game, what does it mean? It's not meaningful at all. But in the vintage game, you see a lot of guys running the bases. They're making base hits. They're running. They're stealing. They're running. They're sliding. They're stealing. And you know, it's a real high-intensity kind of game.
Now, according to what I read in the paper, though, you can hit as many foul balls.
Fouls do not count as strikes in the old game.
Right. Why is that?
Just didn't. It became a hit batsman. You can hit the batsman all day.
Oh yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's not uncommon in the 1880s game for a pitcher who knows he's got a base runner who really wants to steal the base to keep hitting the batter with the ball. Because the ball becomes dead as soon as it hits the batter.
How about stolen bases from third to home? Is there a lot of it during the...
I'm sure there was. It depends on how fast the other team is.
Right.
I don't see a lot of home steals, but they happen. I think with faster base runners, younger players should probably get more home steals.
Some of the bats I noticed are a little different in weight or in length.
Yep.
Is there a reason for that?
The reason these bats are so big, these are the 1860s bats. They had to propel a fairly soft ball.
And the ball was kind of like a mush ball, right?
Well, this is one that's mush, and that one's been played with. In the beginning, it's not quite as mushy.
Right.
As the day goes on, it gets mushier.
Right. But this is all leather. This is more of a leather coat.
Well, it's cloth.
Yeah.
It's cloth inside, but it's leather and it's handmade. But over time, when you hit that ball today, it'll probably flatten if you hit it right. So it wobbles and everything else. But that ball will stay in play for the entire game, whether it wobbles, whether it's wet, whatever. Unless you lose it or lose the cover, it stays in play. So they needed a bat that could really propel a ball.
Right.
And you've got a bunch of farm boys playing this game. And
And most of the guys were anyway from lumberjacks to
So they were swinging stuff like that all day.
Right.
And they didn't think anything about it.
These things are that size. This bat's kind of very light.
We have a guy named Mitz Silkowski who plays for the Newtown Sandy Hooks.
Right.
He uses that bat in the 1860s game. It's his common bat. So
what was the weight? I mean, how much did most of the bats weigh?
At least 40 ounces.
40 ounces?
They were 40-ounce bat, 40 inches in length.
Right.
Babe Ruth swung a 43-ounce bat.
Right.
But that was more this style bat here, without the mushroom. This is a mushroom handle, but this is more in line with the kind of bat that the Babe or any of his
kind from that era would have swung.
Yep. And
this seems awful small, though. It doesn't seem like it's very,
Well, for you it isn't.
Well, I mean, for Ruth, it would have seemed like a small bat.
Well, I think he probably used a longer one than that.
Right. But I mean, even like not Christy Massey, but some of the older guys like Wagner or Ty Cobb,
they would use a 38-inch bat.
Now you were talking about the gloves.
That is a reproduction of an 1880s glove.
Now there wasn't no padding in these, right?
There's no padding in the glove. It was really to protect the hand,
Right.
Jammed fingers and things like that.
Would they have used like meat or?
Yeah, they put a piece of steak in. The catchers would.
Yeah.
The field wouldn't care.
Right.
If you played the game, you wouldn't care.
But you can also
sting once.
Yeah, you get a sore hand and that ball comes flying back.
Your hand gets swollen over time. And this is the ball you use in an 1880s game, and it's not quite as hard as today's ball.
Right.
And it bounces more and everything else. But
who invented the pitches?
Well,
or was there any certain type of was there sliders or
there was speculation the curveballs didn't really curve, but they did.
Right.
But the inventors, I don't know it just all evolved over time. If you watch our vintage players, especially the guys who've been pitching for a while, they've got knuckle balls, they've got curve balls, they've got drop balls, they've got all kinds of stuff that they can pitch with the underhand.
Right.
Remember, 1860s is an underhand game.
Right.
1875 right, is when they started throwing sidearm, and you had to keep the throw below your elbow.
Oh, you couldn't throw it? You had to go this way with it?
You had to throw like this.
Right. So when did the overhand start?
Overhand started around 1881. And in 1875, they were using this ball.
Right.
So they could start to do some tricky things with a ball sidearm.
Right.
And you can do a lot of things sidearm. Then when they went to the overhand game, anything was legal. And anything was legal, and it was legal for years. Spitball was legal for years and things like that.
So now most of the teams were barnstormers, mostly, right? I mean, they all were all. Everybody had it.
What you're talking about?
I mean, I'm saying more like the Southern or the.
Depends on the era. You can call them barnstormers. There were leagues,
right?
Teams would get together and pull teams together to do a barnstorming event. They travel around the country and so forth. But basically the league started in the 1870s.
Right.
And in the 1870s, there were true leagues. There was the National League, came first, and then the American Association came along, and they competed with it. And by the 1880s, they were playing each other for championship.
Most of the leagues were varied, from anywhere from, almost every town had a team, really, right?
At least one. Well, Newtown had two.
Oh, they?
They had a Newtown team, and they had a Sandy Hook team.